This question has some pretty tricky vocab in the choices, but don't panic. Let's go to the lines and see if they tell us anything that might help. The Cambrian explosion gets its name from the sudden appearance and rapid diversification of animal remains in the fossil record about 541 million years ago. Sudden, rapid, I like that repetition, during the Cambrian period. Some scientists argue that this blank change in the fossil record might be because of a shift in many organisms to body types that were more likely to be preserved. Okay, that end part doesn't really matter to me. What they're basically doing though at the beginning is repeating what they said at the start, right? They're repeating a description of the change, and how did they describe the change? They called it an explosion. It's sudden, it's rapid, so I kind of want something that matches with all three of those words. Now, what's tricky, and I think the trap here, is that many of you are going to pick choice A, catastrophic, right? Because you're like, oh, it's an explosion. Explosions are bad. Things are dying. There's a fossil record. So that seems like a bad thing. But they're not really saying it's a catastrophic change. They're just describing it as sudden and rapid. Something can be rapid without being good or bad. It's just a commentary on speed, not a commentary on like whether it's good or bad. So this is a trap. If we look at some of the other words, though, I think we can see that maybe there was a better choice, and if you picked A, you might have just not looked at the other answers. Elusive doesn't really make sense. That means something is kind of hard to find. It eludes. So that's not really what we're talking about. They're saying, if anything, that there's lots of fossil evidence. So it's not elusive. It's very well known and well understood because there's so much evidence. Abrupt, though, does mean sudden. It does mean rapid. It does have the kind of connotation of an explosion, right? Something that happens quickly. So that matches the words. Imminent is very close. Imminent kind of means, it kind of means sudden. It means that something is about to happen. So it does imply this idea of kind of like soonness or quickness. However, the timing is off. If something is imminent, it's going to happen soon in the future, but it has not happened yet. And so we are talking about something that's in the past, so this word just doesn't really fit. It's definitely another kind of trap here because it's a little bit fancier of a word, and some of you are more inclined to pick fancy words because you think they're better, but it really just depends on the context, and a lot of the problems with fancy words is that they have very specific meanings, and this is a case of that, where it's kind of right, but not, it's too specific. It doesn't apply to the fact that we're looking backwards on something. So C is the best, and hopefully that's a word you know. If something is abrupt, it's sudden. But this just goes to show what we're really looking for when we do these vocab questions. It shouldn't be about the kind of sentence that you want to write about what you think is important. We're always kind of looking for some sort of word in the lines themselves that kind of matches with our answer choice, that proves it. A lot of times it's synonyms, occasionally it's antonyms, opposites, but a lot of the times we're able to point to a word or two and say, this is why I'm picking my choice. Here, we've got a lot of evidence of that. I just think that in choice A, if you picked that, it's because you kind of jumped the gun a little too quickly. You kind of thought about the word explosion too much and ignored these other strong words that talk about the change, that it's a rapid diversification, a sudden appearance. So make sure that you're looking at everything, and if you do have multiple answers that work, try to pick the one that involves the least bit of jump from the lines to the answer. That just kind of matches most directly with things that you see. In this case, I think C definitely has more evidence.